Ladies and gentlemen, we're coming to the hour of 7 o'clock, so I think we will begin. A very warm welcome to you all, actually, this evening. It's good to see a good crowd of people in the room. My name's John Darlington. I'm the Executive Director of World Monuments Fund Britain. And if you're trying to define what World Monuments Fund Britain does, we essentially champion and breathe new life into extraordinary buildings, both here in the UK and across the globe. If you haven't heard of us, you will almost certainly have seen some of our buildings that we've been involved in. So whether they're Horace Walpole's magnificent Strawberry Hill, or whether it's Nicholas Hawksmoor's St George's Bloomsbury, or maybe Christchurch in Zanzibar. So we've been involved with a lot of really interesting projects. What have we got to do with Capability Brown, Lancelot Capability Brown? And the answer is actually up here on the screen behind me. Because we've been very heavily involved with Stowe House in Buckinghamshire, where we've been literally investing with our partners millions of pounds in the restoration of the magnificent rooms within that house. And of course, Stowe is also the starting point in many ways for Brown. So the two things come together at Stowe. And Stowe clearly is not just the starting point, it's the point, a pivotal moment in his career, which then takes off from that moment. It's the equivalent of a schoolboy being invited to play for England. That's the scale of it. And we'll hear more about that from Oliver a little bit later. One minor piece of housekeeping before we get going, and that is, although Brown was a very early adopter of new technologies, can you make sure that you turn off your technology so we don't have beeps and bleeps throughout the presentations this evening? The other thing I want to say before I hand over is that this room is not just filled with enthusiasts for Brown, but also it's actually filled with a large number of Brown experts. Not only do we have Tim Richardson, who I'll introduce in a minute, and Oliver Cox, but we also have a number of other people who really know their Brown, so there's no pressure to our two speakers this evening. We have got hopefully Sarah Rutherford in the room. Now, Sarah has just written the latest book on Capability Brown, and if she is in the room, then she might be bringing... She is in the room. I can see her waving at the back. I don't know if you brought any books for... Oh, she's brought books as well. So hopefully, if you want to purchase a book off Sarah and get it signed, maybe, then she's the person to talk to. We also have the Capability Brown Festival people in the room, particularly the chairman of the festival, Gilly Drummond. So it's really good to see Gilly there as well. Another hand in the air, fantastic. And that's obviously supported by the Heritage Lottery Fund, who I know we've also got representatives of them in the room, so that's great. The final people I want to mention are the National Trust. We have helped with the house at Stowe. The National Trust obviously is very heavily involved in the gardens and landscape at Stowe. So again, we've got the National Trust team in the room. There's Mike Calnan, there's Mark Lamy, and I saw David Adshead try and creep in at the very end. So we've got lots of experts in the room. If you're interested, the Trust have put together a very short 7-minute video of Brown landscapes from the air, which will show after the main presentation. So if you want to stay in the room and watch that, then please do, and you'll see it on a big screen. For those of you who are coming to the reception, don't worry, because we're also showing it in the reception as well. The final two experts that I want to mention, well, I'll mention one and I'll let one introduce the other, and that is to introduce Tim Richardson. Now, Tim, you might know as a journalist, a gardening journalist, writing for The Telegraph. I've asked Tim to come and put a bit of context on Brown before introducing Oliver. And I've also asked Tim if he'd come and run a Q&A session at the very end. The reason that I've done that is because not only is Tim knowledgeable, but he's also quite a provocative person who will therefore prompt a good Q&A. He will have a view on Brown and his capabilities. So without any further ado, I'm going to hand over to Tim.